update here for the token Velo. Someone had requested this in my private X group. And no, that's not a paid group. It's completely free. But yeah, they wanted me to give an update on this. Velo has been an interesting little booger. Looking at it here on MEXC, let me see if we can't pull it up here on charts.cointrader.pro. I want to get a more full market view of it. Here we go. Okay. So let's look at it here. What's encouraging about Velo right now is notice this volume here that came, this is weekly volume. So notice the weekly volume there for Velo on June 23rd to the beginning of July, I believe. Yeah. Look at that volume. So that's encouraging. So I always start with the weekly or monthly view. What's hard about Velo is there's not a lot of market history, right? You had this sell-off from its initial listing, right? And it came all the way down, and then you had this impulse, which I do believe marked the bottom of the market for Velo, right? So you had this good sign for Velo. Well, let me just make sure. I'm going to come down to smaller time frames. Let's go to the 4 hour and look at that impulse off the bottom. What I want to look at, you're going to get an idea of how my brain works here. Hold on 1 second. Okay. I don't like it, but this still works as far as an Elliott wave. So you had a clear wave 1 off the bottom, and you had your wave 3. So you had 2. Let's say 2 was there. They were trying to do an ABC and push lower, but it basically double bottomed. Then you had 1, 2. The problem here for me is I don't like the symmetry of this impulse, because you had a long drawn out 1 of the 3, which to me would indicate this would have been wave 3, but you have to take that this was wave 3, this was wave 4, and this was wave 5. And I just don't like that. Which then makes you question the rest of this setup, right? Because if you come back to the daily, because what could be happening, is this could be a corrective A, B, C, with now to put in a new low. You know, either a double bottom or to put in a new low. This is where Elliott Wave is just not a perfect science. You almost have to take that this was the impulse off the bottom based on volume alone here. I don't like the wave structure of it, but it still, I think, would be valid. And really, if this was an ABC, then probably that would have been the top of your C wave. Then we would have come down either to double bottom or to sweep that buy side liquidity there and take the stops. So could it be that this was wave 1? Yeah, it's just hard to get a count on Velo, but I'm going to lean towards the fact that Velo is bullish until, say that low there at 1.01033875 were to get taken out. So if I wasn't in on Velo yet, or if I did have a trade position on Velo currently, I would set a stop below this wick here, right? Which was on June 15th, June 16th. So I think you're good, and so good, I'm going to add to my trade position here on this because it's a good setup. So I'm taking a trade. You don't have to, but just looking at the daily, I think we're going to go up here. The problem is I don't have I'm not encouraged by this price action off the bottom so far. It looks pretty flat. But that doesn't mean a lot because Velo is a newer token. It's a lower market cap token. So there's a lot of things at play there. But where I would be playing Velo is for a return to probably this volume cluster here at around 38 cents. So that's probably where we're going to go for Velo. If we had a little bit more impulsive price action, in this area, then I would say, I would keep my mind open for higher targets. But I'm going to say Velo is most likely going to hit around 38 cents at the top of the market. I don't think it coming to the 618 is likely because there's just not a lot of volume there. There's not a lot of market acceptance, so I wouldn't see that as being a natural pivot. A lot of times the 618 is something to watch, but obviously we'll have to get through the 50 here because there was some clear support there, so we'll have to test that as a support resistance flip. But I think most likely Velo, and I just don't have a good clear wave count on this token. But I think overall it's going to come up here to 38 cents before the end of the market cycle. But here's the problem, and I'm just going to point it out again. I don't like the volume there. As you're looking at the volume here on the daily on charts.cointrader.pro, and that's the reason I came back to Velo here, because this gives you the entire market volume across all exchanges, and it's aggregated, right? I just don't like the sell volume, but I can't argue that I like the buy volume there. So, I mean, there's good buy volume there. It's just look at the sell volume. But so far, we've seemed to have held, and we're about to take out this local high here back on May the 9th, which makes sense. That's what the rest of the market has been doing. They've been taking out the local high from May 9th to May 14th. We've shown you that on XRP. We've shown you that on Stellar. Several others. So yeah, I like Velo so much that I did take a trade on it. Yeah, I think 38 cents is most likely. Obviously, we'll need to get through the 50 there at around 4.5 cents. But I think once we get through that 50, we should have smooth sailing up to 38. All right. Let me know if you have any questions. Drop any questions or comments down below, and like and subscribe if this was helpful to you. Thanks.